You know that feeling?
Yeah.
Where you're just constantly busy, juggling everything, putting in the long hours. But at the end of the day, you kind of look back and think, what did I actually get done?
Mm-hmm. Like your mind's already racing with a million things before you're even properly awake.
Exactly. And it's really common. What's becoming clearer, though, from research is how much this whole feeling of being, disorganized with time links to our mental health. Things like anxiety, burnout.
Yeah, it really contributes. And the interesting thing is the solution isn't really about finding more hours in the day, is it? That's usually not possible.
No, not at all.
It's more about being strategic, smarter with the time you already have.
Exactly. And that is precisely what we're diving deep into today. We're going to unpack a sort of step-by-step system. How to organize your time, boost productivity, sure, but also, really importantly, protect your mental well-being.
And without needing that mythical 25-hour day everyone wishes for.
Wouldn't that be nice, though? But yeah, no extra hours needed.
So our goal today really is to give you some practical insights. First, understanding why just being busy, well, it often hides a lack of real progress.
Right.
Then we'll help you sort of picture what a more focused, effective future could actually look like. And then we'll get into the nitty-gritty, how to categorize your task properly, how to actually find that deep focus, and how to structure your day so it works for you.
Yeah, so whether you're juggling huge projects or just feel like you're drowning in emails, this deep dive should have something for you. We really want to cut through that feeling of overwhelm and give you clear, actionable stuff you can, use right away to feel more in control.
Sounds good.
Okay, so let's jump in. Why is it? Why can we work so hard, feel so busy, but still feel like we're just spinning our wheels?
It's striking, isn't it? So many people describe that exact feeling, starting the day already feeling behind. That mental checklist is running before the coffee's even brewed. And then the emails start flooding in, the interruptions pop up, and any plan you had for focused work just gets, well, derailed. You're immediately in reactive mode.
And it's just so frustrating. You put in the hours, maybe even stay late, but those big, important projects, they just inch forward, if at all. Strategic thinking goes out the window.
And the stress just builds and builds. It's more than just feeling busy. It's this chronic sense people call time poverty, that constant feeling of never, ever having enough time no matter what you do.
Time poverty. That really captures it.
And if you look at the psychology behind it, always being reactive actually trains our brain to stay on high alert, always waiting for the next thing, the next demand.
Which makes it impossible to settle down and concentrate. Right?
Exactly. You can't get into that deep focus state needed for, the complex problem solving or creative thinking. Plus, think about all the tiny decisions all day long. Which email first? Do I deal with this now? It leads to decision fatigue.
Ah, right. So you burn out your decision-making power on small stuff.
Precisely. Leaving less mental energy for the big, important decisions later on.
There's a pretty startling statistic about this, isn't there? Something about how much of our day gets eaten up by less valuable stuff.
Yes, it's quite eye-opening. Research suggests that a really significant chunk of the average workday, something like 51%, is spent on tasks that add very little real value.
Wow, over half.
Yeah. Think about it. Irrelevant emails, meetings that maybe didn't need to happen, or you didn't need to be in inefficient communication back and forth, just constantly switching between minor tasks. It's activity, but it's not necessarily achievement.
That really highlights the difference, doesn't it? Being busy versus actually being productive.
It does. I think of someone, let's call them Alex, a project manager, often the first in, last out, always seems available, answering emails instantly, helping colleagues.
Sounds like a great team player on the surface.
Right, but the critical project reports Alex is responsible for, they keep stalling. Why? Because their attention is constantly pulled away by things that feel urgent but aren't ultimately that important. A minor website glitch, helping someone format a slide, another email marked urgent, that's just routine.
And then end of the day, Alex is exhausted from putting out all these little fires.
Exactly, drained. But that key report is still looming, so they stay late trying to catch up on the important work that got squeezed out by the urgent stuff. It's a vicious cycle.
Such a common trap.
And it's crucial to realize this isn't about Alex not working hard enough, that feeling of being overwhelmed but unproductive. It usually stems from not having an effective system, a way to prioritize, to decide what truly needs focus, and then protect that focus. That constant chaos isn't inevitable. It's often the result of not having a framework.
Okay, so that paints a pretty clear picture of the problem.
Okay.
Let's shift gears. What does the alternative look like? What's this productive future we could aim for?
Well, imagine starting your day knowing exactly what your top priorities are. You have blocks of time actually scheduled for focused work on those big things, and you make real progress.
Sound nice, lady.
Yeah. And interruptions. You handle them strategically, they don't completely derail you. Emails get dealt with at specific times, not as a constant drip feed distraction. And crucially, at the end of the day, you feel a genuine sense of accomplishment. You've moved the needle on what matters, and you actually have energy left for your personal life.
Okay, I can see people listening and thinking, yeah, right, sounds like a fantasy. There's this common belief, isn't there, that work-life balance and real control are kind of myths.
I get that skepticism, I really do. But here's the key thing. Effective time management isn't some magical talent you're born with. It's a skill, a learnable skill.
Like any other skill.
Exactly. There are well-established frameworks, practical tools, things backed by research that guide you on everything from setting priorities to actually scheduling your time effectively. It's not magic, it's methodology.
So if you learn these skills, what are the real tangible benefits? What changes?
Oh, the benefits are pretty wide-ranging. Almost right away, you'll likely feel less stressed because you start feeling more in control. That often translates into more energy because you're not constantly fighting that uphill battle against chaos.
Makes sense. Less mental drain.
Right. Your overall well-being generally improves because you're creating space for both focused work and personal life, which is key for avoiding burnout. Professionally, these skills are super valuable. They can definitely open doors. And maybe the biggest one for many people, you actually find you have more free time because you're using your work time more effectively on the important stuff.
And what about the psychological side? Does it boost your confidence or anything like that?
Absolutely. When you consistently meet your goals, even small ones, it builds confidence. That feeling of agency, of being in the driver's seat, directly pushes back against feeling overwhelmed.
So it counteracts that feeling of helplessness.
Yeah. Precisely. By tackling the root causes the overload, the lack of control, good time management is actually a powerful tool against burnout. And studies do link effective time management with greater overall happiness and a stronger sense of achievement in life.
You mentioned an analogy earlier about a ship. Can you remind us how that relates here?
Yeah, think of it like this. Without a clear plan, that's your map, and the ability to steer toward your goals, that's your rudder, you're basically just drifting. The currents of emails, interruptions, and requests will just push you around.
You're busy moving, but not necessarily going where you want to go.
Exactly. Time management gives you the map, your plan, your goals, and the rudder, your priorities, your ability to steer your focus. It allows you to navigate your day with purpose.
Okay, let's bring Alex back into this. If Alex started using some of these time management skills, how would their day actually change?
Well, Alex might start by identifying that critical report as the absolute top priority. Then they'd proactively block out, say, 90 minutes in the morning, specifically for focused work on it, turn off notifications during that time.
Protecting that time.
Yes. And when a colleague asks for help with something non-urgent, Alex could politely say, I can help with that at 2 p.m. Let's schedule it. Meetings. Alex would look at the agenda more critically. Is this essential? Do I need to be there?
So being more intentional about saying yes and no.
Exactly. Over time, Alex would likely start to feel less like they're constantly playing catch-up. They'd see real progress on the big report and finish the day feeling more accomplished, less drained.
It sounds like a gradual transformation, not an overnight fix. It's about applying these specific learnable techniques, right? Understanding tasks, protecting focus, structuring the day.
That's it, precisely. Effective time management is that fundamental shift, moving from passively reacting to everything that comes your way, to proactively executing the tasks that truly matter. That's where the control, the reduced stress, and the better results come from.
Okay, so we want that control. We're looking at our massive to-do list, feeling overwhelmed. Where do we even start making sense of it all? How do we prioritize?
Well, the very first step, interestingly, is just acknowledging that not everything on that list is created equal. It might feel like a jumble of equally urgent demands, but it's not. The real key is learning to differentiate. What truly moves the needle towards your goals versus what's just making noise.
That makes so much sense. It's incredibly easy to get caught in what you call the urgency trap, right? Just reacting constantly.
Oh, absolutely. The phone rings, an email pops up with a red flag, someone messages you needing something quick. We react to that immediacy. And meanwhile, those important long-term projects, the strategic stuff, just keep getting pushed back.
Because they aren't screaming for attention right now.
Exactly. Now, some urgent things are critical, obviously, but many are just distractions dressed up as emergencies. The danger is, by constantly fighting these small, urgent fires, we never get around to the work that would actually prevent future fires or make significant progress. We end the day exhausted, feeling like we ran a marathon, but we're still in the same place on our major goals.
So how do we escape that cycle? You mentioned a tool, the Eisenhower matrix. What's the core idea there?
Yeah, the Eisenhower matrix is a wonderfully simple but powerful tool for this. It helps you categorize tasks based on two simple questions. Is it urgent? Does it need immediate attention? And is it important? Does it contribute significantly to your goals?
Okay, urgent and important. That creates 4 possibilities.
Exactly, 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1 is for tasks that are both urgent and important. These are your genuine crises, pressing problems, deadlines that are right upon you. A major client issue, that critical report to today, a system outage.
Okay, and the action for those is pretty obvious, I guess?
Yep, do them immediately. These are the real fires you need to put out.
Got it. Q1, do. What's quadrant 2?
Quadrant 2 is where things get really interesting. These tasks are important, but day urgent. This is the zone for quality, long-term growth, prevention. Think strategic planning, building key relationships, exploring new opportunities, learning new skills, even things like exercise or preventative maintenance.
Ah, the stuff that builds future success but doesn't have an immediate deadline looming.
Precisely. And because they aren't screaming for attention, they often get neglected. The action here is to decide when you will do them and proactively schedule that time into your calendar. Block it out.
Okay, so Q1 is do. Q2 is decide and schedule. What about the other 2?
Quadrant 3 is for tasks that are urgent, but not important. These are often interruptions that demand your time but don't really help you achieve your core objectives. Maybe some meetings, a lot of routine emails, a colleague asking for help with something they could probably figure out themselves.
The time sinks that feel pressing.
Exactly. The recommended action here is to delegate them if you possibly can. If delegation isn't an option, then you want to minimize the time spent, maybe batch them together, or see if you can automate them somehow.
Minimize, delegate, batch.
Yeah.
Okay, and the last one, quadrant 4.
Quadrant 4 is neither urgent nor important. These are the straightforward time wasters. Aimless web browsing, scrolling social media endlessly, sorting junk mail, attending optional meetings with no clear value.
Stuff we probably know we shouldn't be doing anyway.
Pretty much. The action here is simple. Delete or eliminate them. Just get them off your plate entirely.
Could you walk us through a quick example? Say someone, Sarah, has a crazy morning list. How would she use this?
Okay. Let's say Sarah's list has answer 50 emails, finish slides for next week's board meeting, fix a critical customer bug, schedule team performance reviews, deal with a small office leak, read a new industry report, and go to a casual coffee chat.
It's familiar.
Right. So applying the matrix. The critical customer bug, that's Q1, urgent and important, do it now. The office leak, probably also Q1, address it.
Okay, fires first.
Yep. Now the board meeting slides and scheduling performance reviews, those are important, but not urgent, since the meeting is next week. That's Q2. Sarah needs to decide when she'll work on them and schedule that time.
Block out time later today or tomorrow, maybe.
Exactly. Those 50 emails. Many are likely urgent. They arrived. But not important. Routine stuff. That's Q3. Can she delegate some? Can she batch process them later? Minimize time there. Reading the industry report. Probably Q2 important, not urgent. Schedule time for it. And the purely social coffee meeting. Likely Q4, not urgent, not important. Maybe she politely declines or reschedules if it feels important for relationship building, which could edge it towards Q2, depending.
Well, okay. Suddenly that chaotic list has structure. It's clear what needs immediate action, what needs scheduled time, and what can be delegated or dropped.
That's the power of it. It forces you to shift from just reacting to Q3 urgency and instead focus on Q1 necessities and, crucially, making time for those high-impact Q2 activities. You evaluate tasks based on their actual contribution to your goals, not just how loud they're shouting.
It really provides clarity on what to focus on, distinguishing the vital from the, well, trivial.
Precisely. It ensures your effort is purposeful and aligned with what truly matters.
Okay, so the Eisenhower matrix helps us figure out what we should be doing. But, I mean, we live in a world designed for distraction, right? Phones buzzing, emails pinging, colleagues stopping by. How do we actually focus on those important Q1 and Q2 tasks once we've identified them?
Yeah, that's the other massive piece of the puzzle, isn't it? Knowing what to do is step one, but staying focused long enough to actually do it well. That's a huge challenge today. The temptation to multitask is just relentless.
It almost feels like multitasking is a required skill sometimes. We're expected to juggle everything at once.
We are, but the science actually tells us something different. Sustained focus is absolutely essential for high-quality work, the kind needed for complex problem-solving, strategic thinking, deep analysis, creative insights, you name it.
And multitasking gets in the way of that.
Massively. When we try to multitask, our brains incur what psychologists call switching costs or attention residue. Basically, your brain doesn't instantly pivot 100% from task A to task B. A part of your attention stays stuck on the previous task for a while.
So you're never fully focused on the new thing.
Exactly. The American Psychological Association, among others, has shown this significantly reduces your efficiency and makes you more prone to errors. Counterintuitively, trying to do multiple things at once usually takes longer overall than doing them sequentially with focused attention.
Okay, so single tasking is actually faster and better. How do we train ourselves to do that?
Yeah.
You mentioned the Pomodoro technique earlier. Tell us about that.
The Pomodoro technique is brilliant in its simplicity. The basic idea is you work in focused bursts, typically 25 minutes long. You set a timer, work only on your chosen task for that 25 minutes, no distractions allowed.
Total focus for 25 minutes. Then what?
Then, when the timer goes off, you take a short break, usually about 5 minutes, get up, stretch, grab water, whatever, but step away from the work.
Okay, 25 on, 5 off.
Right. And after you've done about 4 of those Pomodoros, those 25-minute work sprints, you take a longer break, maybe 15 to 30 minutes.
Why does that specific structure work so well?
It taps into a few things. Those short bursts combat mental fatigue. Knowing you only have to focus for 25 minutes makes it easier to start, even on a big, daunting task. The short breaks give your brain a chance to reset. Plus, completing each Pomodoro gives you a little sense of accomplishment, which is motivating.
It trains your focus muscle too, maybe.
Absolutely. Over time, it helps you build the capacity for sustained attention. And research suggests it's great for breaking down overwhelming projects into manageable chunks. It also makes you more aware of where your time actually goes.
Interesting. Okay, and how does the 80-20 rule fit into this picture of focused work?
Yeah.
The Pareto principle.
Right. The 80-20 rule, or Pareto principle, is this observation that in many situations, roughly 80% of the results come from about 20% of the efforts or causes.
The Weigel few.
Exactly. So in time management, the idea is to identify that critical 20% of your tasks, the ones that will deliver 80% of the significant results you're aiming for. These often overlap heavily with those important but not urgent Q2 tasks we talked about with the Eisenhower matrix.
So find the highest leverage activities.
Yes, and then ruthlessly prioritize them. Dedicate your best, most focused energy, maybe using those Pomodoro sprints to that critical minority of tasks that yield the biggest payoff.
I see how they work together. You use Eisenhower and maybe 80-20 to figure out, okay, drafting this proposal is my crucial Q2 task for today.
Right.
And then you use Pomodoro to actually execute it. Set the timer for 25 minutes, turn off notifications, dive deep into writing, take your short break, repeat.
Exactly. That combination is really powerful. It ensures you're working efficiently, avoiding the multitasking trap and those switching costs, and that your efficient work is directed at the activities that matter most. You're focusing your energy for maximum impact.
Okay, this is great. We know how to figure out what's important using Eisenhower, and we have Pomodoro and 80-20 to help us focus on doing it. But how do we actually build this into the structure of our day so stuff doesn't fall through the cracks?
Yeah, that's the critical next step, because even if you know your priorities and you know how to focus, if your day is just a chaotic free-for-all, those important tasks can still get squeezed out by, well, by everything else. Emails, meetings popping up, urgent requests. There's often a gap between knowing what to do and actually getting it done.
The intention-action gap.
Mhm.
So how do we bridge that? You mentioned time blocking in GTD. Let's start with time blocking. What's that about?
Time blocking is basically like creating a detailed schedule or budget for your time. Instead of just having a to-do list floating around, you actually assign specific blocks of time in your calendar to specific tasks or types of activities.
So like 9.000, 10.30 a.m., work on Project X report, 10.30, 11.0000 a.m., process emails, 11.000, 12.00 p.m., meet, that kind of thing.
Exactly like that. You're scheduling your tasks into your day. People like Elon Musk are famous for using variations of this, scheduling their days in very small increments. You can use a digital calendar, a paper planner, a notebook, whatever works for you, to visualize your day blocked out.
What are the main advantages of doing that? It sounds a bit rigid, maybe.
It can seem rigid, but the benefits are significant. Firstly, it creates a stronger commitment. When something is actually scheduled in your calendar, you're psychologically more likely to do it. Secondly, and this is huge, it helps you protect time for that crucial deep work on your Q2 priorities. You literally build walls around that time.
So other things are less likely to intrude.
Right. It also minimizes distractions and context switching because you have a clear plan, you know what you're supposed to be doing right now. It reduces that ambiguity and the mental energy spent constantly deciding what should I do next. Research shows it's particularly helpful for people who get easily sidetracked or are juggling lots of complex projects.
Okay, time blocking gives us the schedule. How does getting things done, GTD, fit in?
Getting Things Done, or GTD, developed by David Allen, is more of a comprehensive system for managing all your commitments, tasks, ideas, projects, reminders, everything that has your attention. The core idea is that your brain is for having ideas, not holding them. Trying to keep everything in your head creates stress and mental clutter.
Get it out of your head and into a trusted system.
Exactly. GTD provides that trusted system.
What are the main steps in GTD? Is it complicated?
There are 5 core steps, but the principle is simple. First, capture everything, tasks, ideas, notes into an inbox, physical or digital. Get it all out. Second, clarify what each item is. Is it actionable? What's the next step? Third, organize it. Put it on the right list, maybe a project list, a calls to make list, a calendar appointment. Fourth, reflect. Regularly review your lists and system to keep it current. And fifth, engage. Decide what to do now based on context, time, energy, and priority.
Okay, capture, clarify, organize, reflect, engage.
For structuring your day, those first few steps, capture, clarify, organize, are key. They help you empty your head and get clarity on everything you need to deal with, fighting that information overload.
So how do time blocking and GTD actually work together then? They sound like they cover different things.
They're really complementary. They work beautifully together. You use GTD as your master system to capture everything and organize it into clear, actionable lists. Then you use time blocking as your tool for executing the priorities from your GTD system.
Ah, okay. So GTD is the organized inventory of what needs doing.
Yes, your trusted source of truth for all your commitments.
And time blocking is the plan for when you're actually going to do the important stuff from that inventory.
Precisely. You look at your GTD lists, identify your priorities for the day or week, and then you schedule specific time blocks in your calendar to make progress on them.
Can you give a quick example?
Sure. Say in your GTD system, you captured research new CRM software, draft email summary for marketing, and pay vendor invoice. You clarify and organize these. Then, when time blocking your Tuesday, you see research CRM as a high priority Q2 task, so you block 90 minutes for it. Draft email summary needs doing, maybe you block 15 minutes after lunch. Pay invoice has a due date, so you might put that directly on your calendar for the due date or block 5 minutes to do it now.
So you're populating your time blocks with items pulled from your organized GTD lists.
Exactly. GTD handles the organization and clarity. Time blocking handles the intentional scheduling and execution.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense how they fit together.
And remember, these aren't rigid prisons, they're frameworks. Life happens, things change, you need to be flexible. Building in some buffer time between your blocks is usually a really good idea to handle unexpected things without derailing your whole day.
Buffer time, good tip. Okay, this has been incredibly helpful, really breaking down how to move from overwhelmed to more in control. Any final thoughts or key message you want to leave listeners with?
I think the main thing is that feeling of being constantly overwhelmed. It's not necessarily permanent. It's often just a signal that your current systems, or lack thereof, aren't working for you anymore. It means it's time to try something new.
A signal to change approach.
Exactly. And you don't have to implement everything perfectly overnight. Just picking one technique we talked about, maybe the Eisenhower matrix, maybe trying Pomodoro, maybe starting simple time blocking and applying it consistently can start to make a real difference. You can begin to reclaim that control.
And it's not just about feeling better, right? There's a tangible benefit to productivity too.
Oh, absolutely. Think about that research on distractions. Some estimates put the cost to businesses in the hundreds of billions annually just from lost focus and productivity. So when you learn to manage your time and focus better, you're not just reducing your own stress, you're significantly boosting your ability to contribute effectively and produce meaningful work.
So what's one small, really actionable step someone listening right now could take? Like today or tomorrow?
I'd say choose the one thing that resonated most. Was it the idea of sorting tasks by urgent important? Try the Eisenhower matrix on today's to-do list. Did the Pomodoro technique sound interesting? Try just 1 or 2 25-minute sprints on your next task. Did time blocking click? Block out just 30 minutes tomorrow for your single most important task.
Just pick one and commit to trying it for, say, a week.
Exactly. Commit to trying it consistently for a short period. See what happens. Observe the difference it makes for you.
It feels very doable. It's about making that conscious shift, becoming more deliberate about how we use our time and focus. And as we've heard, it's definitely possible to get there. This has been fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing all this great insight.
It was my pleasure. Hopefully it gives people some useful tools to work with. Keep exploring, keep learning.